What is going on, everybody? Another win. It's week 7. The Bills have 5 wins. Can't believe it. It feels really good. Um, got my compadres with me. Fred Kilmartin, what's going on?
Well, not much, a little ugly victory today, but guess I'll have to take my new
Time
visor
for the
off
bucket hat.
and
The Bills win, and we know when the Bills win, it is
that's
bucket
right.
hat Fred.
Sport my bucket hat. There we go.
That's right. That's right.
Starting to get used to this, This is the 5th one in a row, so I'm starting to get used to this.
Now, if they somehow win the Super Bowl, I'm not saying they are, but if they win the Super Bowl, is there a special bucket hat, baby, that can be arranged?
We might have to go get a special one.
All right.
Maybe a Sean McDermott hat.
We keep that on ice. We ain't gonna talk about that right now because it's a little too early, but we will. Clayton Garrett, what's going on? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. A win's a win. It was an ugly win, but I'd rather have an ugly win than an ugly loss. Bills improved to 5-1. First time in a decade that they're 5-1. I'm feeling good today.
Right. I think the last time we were 5-1, we had Trent Edwards, and he got knocked out against the Cardinals, and then he was never the same after that.
Nope.
So let's just keep our fingers crossed that nothing like that happens again. But no, guys. I mean, we're 5-1. The team looks steady. I mean, they're very close knit. We've avoided the major injury bug so far. Brian Daboll caught an amazing game that I thought. And there's one play in particular we got into our group chat, and we're going to ask you guys' opinion. We'll get to that a little later. Josh Allen has played consistent ball the last 2 weeks. I wish we run the ball more. We're going to talk about that tonight. The defense actually looked human today. Did that surprise you guys? Clayton, I'll start with you.
Yeah, they had a real opportunity coming into this game to really just shut them down from start to finish, but it's a divisional matchup. These teams, they're going to know you better than any other team you're going to face throughout the course of a season. So the defense, like you mentioned, it looked human today. Ryan Fitzpatrick gave him fits. We've seen Ryan Fitzpatrick come play against the Bills and have games. And I think he mentioned it in his post-game press conference that it's just different when he plays against the Bills. He loved playing for the Bills, and he loves playing them as an opponent. It just gives him a different kind of fire underneath him when he comes to play his former team. And you could really see that today. I mean, he looked like old Fitzpatrick at times with that one interception, but the defense, it did look human. I think they were brought down to earth a bit, and I think they had a realization game where they kind of they had to humble themselves a bit in order to stick around in this football game.
Right. Fred, what did you see from our defense?
Tell you right now what it was. We're missing Matt Milano all day. I'm telling you right now, he's got the speed to keep up with these tight ends out of the backfield. He's a good cover linebacker. I've been saying it. I think we need to find some more linebacker depth. I mean, someone that's comparable to a Tremaine Edmonds and a Matt Milano right in between there. I know that Lorenzo Alexander got a lot of playing time. He's up there in the age. He can't hang with these young cats. The NFL is very fast now, and Milano can. So having him not in that game, I think it helped. It hurt our game planning, so to speak, just a little bit. I didn't think that they played a bad game. They coming off a bye. They had 5 days off. McDermott gave them a lot of time away from the field, a lot of time away from football to get their thoughts, get healed up. So overall, I think they came out and did what they had to do. I mean, yeah, they had to adjust in the second half, but for the most part, they won the game, and a lot of it had to do with the defense.
Right. Now we have a comment, and I'm going to take comments throughout the show. Something new we're going to definitely try. And if you can, make sure you're following us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter. We do live tweet during the games. Follow our Instagram. We have a lot of exclusive content that goes on Instagram. And if you can, like and share it to your personal pages. Don't crowd up groups, please, because we're kind of respectful of people groups. But no, I the 5-day thing really got me.
Mm-hmm.
Like until you told me that before, sure, I didn't know that they had 5 days off.
Yeah,
is that kind of odd to you this early in the year?
It is to me. But like I said, he went out and reached out to Andy Reid, and now you got to give the hats off to McDermott because guess what? He's 3-0 now, coming off a bye. So I mean, he must be doing something and knows something that we don't know. But I never heard of a team having completely 5 days off away from football.
No. I mean, very surprising. Clayton, what's your thoughts on the 5-day off thing? Do you think?
I mean, if you think about it, the Bills really earned it. I think they earned it, but maybe not 5 days off. I mean, you can say that the Bills had 2 weeks to prepare for the worst football team in the National Football League, but with 5 days off, they really didn't. So say what you will, but I think we may be reading too much into it because the bye has come and passed, and the Bills ended up winning today. If they had lost today, I'm sure we'd be talking a lot more about it, but they ended up winning today, and now they're on to the Eagles at this point.
Right, on to the Eagles. And we're going to get to this schedule in the show, too, because it's going to get really dicey, really tricky to see how many wins we can pull out here. So Levi Wallace. Mike Back says in the comments, Levi Wallace got exposed today. Let's be honest here. Levi had a rough day. This is probably the worst day I've seen Levi have as a professional. But I'm not going to put it all on him. Yeah. I think with the 5 days off, trying to get back in rhythm, and let's not discredit Preston Williams from the Dolphins.
It's a big receiver.
The reason I say his name, this is a kid who wasn't even supposed to make the Dolphins team. He made a lot of noise through camp, a lot of noise through preseason. Now he's getting his chance, and he played with a veteran quarterback named Fitzpatrick, who really drove that offense. Yep. He had the offense like they knew what they were doing. I mean, guys, and let's be honest, guys, they haven't like they knew what the hell they were doing since preseason. Today they look like a different team with Ryan Fitzpatrick in there. So Levi had a little bit of a rough day. I think he'll bounce back. What do you guys think about Levi Wallace's day? Fred, I'll come to you first.
I don't think that he got exposed, so to speak. I mean, that kid is a big receiver. That's a big body receiver. He probably wasn't used to, covering someone with his size. And the thing is that Ryan Fitzpatrick puts the ball where the defenders can't make a play on it. He does that very well. He's done that well in his career. But, I mean, I don't think Levi Wallace was exposed. You still got to remember the kid's only a second-year player in the league. He was a walk-on at Alabama. He came in undrafted for the Bills. So, and the talent's there. I think he'll rebound. Once they get back in the swing of things, they're going to go review the tapes. Once they see, they'll make the adjustments. He'll be fine.
Levi Wallace, coming to you, Clayton.
So at this point, Levi Wallace was really just a pleasant surprise coming to the season because we were speculating throughout the offseason whether those 6 games that he played in 2018 was going to be indicative of the player he was going to be in the future or not. But today, I wouldn't say he got exposed, but he had one of his worst games that he has had as a Buffalo Bill. And that doesn't mean much. He's been a downright dominant corner opposite Tre White throughout his Bills tenure. And Preston Williams, he's a bigger receiver that can get open, that can get separation at the line of scrimmage, and he has the speed to get more separation. And with a quarterback like Ryan Fitzpatrick, who can anticipate throws, and he's pretty much seen every coverage that you can throw at him during his NFL career. I mean, he can anticipate when Preston Williams is going to get open, and it gave Preston Williams opportunities to make play with the ball in his hands. So I don't expect Levi Wallace. I don't expect this to be a trend. I expect him to bounce back. He's a resilient player. I mean, it wasn't an awful day, but it wasn't a great day either. He was certainly a sore spot on the defense, but I expect him to bounce back next week against the Eagles.
Yeah. I think that receiver's like 6'5", isn't he?
Oh, he's a big guy. He's like 6'5",
he's got 220. A huge catch
he's fast too.
He's tall and lanky and fast. Yeah.
Big guy. Guy. So the offense started off slow today. Well, actually, no, I can't say that. They didn't start off slow. They just didn't convert touchdowns.
They stalled out.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's a good word. They stalled out. I mean, I thought that the offensive play caller by Brian Daboll today was actually pretty good. I thought he was actually more creative. I think he picked his spots today, and I think out of Brian Daboll's tenure here so far, I thought this was one of his better called games. I thought this was one of his more complete games, if you want to call it, where he made good calls from start to end. Fred, what did you think of Daboll's day?
I thought Daboll, he called some. I think that what the game plan was try to expose the secondary of the Miami Dolphins just because of their past defense rankings in the NFL. But you got to remember, it is a division game. I think the biggest thing that's hurting the offense for the Bills, and it's something that's been trending, I've been watching throughout these first 6 games, is our third down efficiency. Today, we were 3 for 10 on third downs. We're not converting third downs. And I noticed that every time it's a third down, these teams are catching on. They're putting 8 to 9 guys in the box, and it's an all-out blitz. Josh Allen's not being able to read that. They're not relaying an audible in there. They're not audible and out of what they're doing. And I think that's what a lot of it is that we're getting hurt. This is a learning thing. Daboll's going to have to teach Allen how to audible out of these. They're going to have to work on it. And these third down efficiencies, they got to start picking these third downs up.
Clay?
Yeah, the third down inefficiencies has really been a sore spot of the offense, really just the last 2 games. Actually, no, ever since the New England game. Up until that point, they were pretty good on third down, to my recollection. But today, I think that the key was the Dolphins keyed in on stopping Cole Beasley, as JT and I talked about in the group chat earlier, that they were really keying in on stopping Cole Beasley. You only saw Allen. He only had 3 catches today. And Allen only looked for him on third down once. And that one third down was a 3rd and 11 conversion that got the Bills in the red zone. So I don't really know what our problems are on third down, but I can sure guarantee you that it'd be a lot easier if we had TJ Yeldon in the game. TJ Yeldon could really help Josh Allen in the passing game as an outlet out of the backfield to look for him on third down and get the yardage after the catch. So you saw the offense stall out a lot today. And I think that was really what hurt us. That's what led to us scoring field goals rather than touchdowns. And that's really what led to the first half kind of sluggish appearance to the Bills totals. Because the Bills offense, they get yards in a game. They were ranked 12th coming into this game in yardage per game. But the points, they were ranked 26th in the league. So the points aren't there, but the conversions were kind of there coming into today. But today it kind of all meshed together in the right kind of blend, that the execution wasn't there. The play calling, I thought, was kind of inconsistent, and it led to the Bills only having 9 points in the first half.
Well, what part of it was inconsistent? Because, like I said, for me,
at the start of the
game, I didn't see any inconsistencies in the play calling today.
At the start of the game, I don't think he did much to help Josh Allen.
But my point is, how can you say that? The Bills drove down the field, 3 drives, 3 scoring opportunities. Once they get down there inside the 30 and the 20, that's up to the offense.
Josh Allen started 1 for 5. I'm talking about the passing offense. He did nothing to help Josh Allen in the passing offense get into a rhythm so that they were comfortable in the pocket. And, the psyche is so important for a young quarterback. He didn't do anything to help Josh Allen get into a rhythm. And then the second half, he was starting to get into more of a rhythm. He completed 10 of 11 passes. And he had 2 touchdowns. The second half was a different story, but the first half, I didn't think he was doing him any favors helping him get into a rhythm at all.
Yeah, well, but he was 16 of 26.
Yeah.
But the first half, he was awful.
Penalties. A lot of holding penalties on good drives, good plays. Those penalties. We're 9 of 83 for penalties this year, or this game, I'm sorry. And going into this game, the Bills were 10 of 14 in red zone scoring. So, I mean, I thought we should have scored more points in the red zone than coming away, but I think it was the penalties too. Because now you're in 3rd and long, you're in 2nd and long, you got to pick these up. I really think the penalties on the offensive line today hurt us.
I mean, it did, but I mean, like I said, I'm just trying to get back to the point of the inconsistency in saying where he didn't help him. Listen, this kid's a 1st-round pick. Mm-hmm. He's a 7th pick overall. He's not going to hold his hand. Okay, right. I'm sorry. There's no, we got to make a couple easy throws to get him a rhythm. You either come into the game, you're ready to play, you're not. You're playing the worst defense, the worst team in the NFL today. And mind you, I'm not just going to trash Miami because they're an NFL team, and because they're an NFL team, don't mean you're just going to blow them out the water. But what do you want to do? Throw 1,000 screen passes to him? What do you want to dump it off? I mean, I don't know what you want from to make the game easier. You know what makes the game easier? Spending $29 million on Cole Beasley, spend another $20 million on John Brown, trading up for Dawson Knox, spend another $15 million for Tyler Kroft, signing Frank Gore, drafting Singletary. I mean, you either come ready to play or you don't.
It looked like a lot of the problems on offense were just the Bills shooting themselves in the foot, whether it was the execution of the offense or the play calls or just the holding penalties or the penalties as overall on the offensive side of the ball. That's really what was really hurting them in the first half, and that's why they only had 9 points. I just didn't like on that 3rd and 5 that we were speaking of earlier. I thought that they should have gone for the chains rather than go for the touchdown. Obviously, if that's 6 points to Andre Roberts, that Josh Allen overthrew the ball to Andre Roberts. I think it was his only incompletion in the second half. Obviously, if that's a touchdown, I have no problem with it at all. But I think with Josh Allen's strengths this season, his 10 to 15 or his 5 to 15 has been much better this season than it was in his rookie season. And that's been more of his strong suit this year compared to his long ball. And I thought that it would have been smarter to play the chains rather than go for the long ball that early in the drive.
Well, I see, and that's where I disagree, because the last couple of weeks, and we have a poll up asking everybody, should the Bills run the offense run the ball more? Because right now the Bills are averaging about 70% pass offense during the day, and 30% rushing. So it's really lopsided. It's not really a big balance there. But we're gonna play the Brian Daboll 3rd and 5 call. If you guys know what we're talking about, it's the play that honestly, Josh Allen missed the throw. I like the play call. I thought there was a beautiful play call, personally. As an offensive coordinator, you may have a couple of times in the game where you call your shot. Now, for the first couple of weeks of this season, he was letting Josh just let him wing it and let it hang out, right? But now, with this situation, last couple games, he scaled it back a bit to stop the turnovers. And he didn't take many shots down the field. He had John Brown on the right-hand side, which Josh missed. He also had Andre Roberts on this. Now, this is a 3rd and 5. It's not a 3rd and 2. It's not a 3rd and 3. So it's not like like you say, you're going to run the ball and get the first down. 3rd and 5 is a little long. Mind you, you're only up at that point in time in the game, I believe, 3 points.
Yep.
Yeah.
So even if you get down the field and kick a field goal, it's still a one-score game. You can't say that Daboll was wrong for making that call when Andre Roberts is 5 yards wide open.
He was definitely, he beat 2 guys. He beat the safety that was over top.
Because the safety was up in the box king on the slot.
Mm-hmm. He beat them both. But Josh just overthrew him.
Fred, he has to make the throw.
Yeah. He's got to know to put touch on it. That ball should have dropped right in. Should have dropped a dime.
So I mean, that's why I disagree, because as an offensive coordinator, you have 1 or 2 shots. You have 1 or 2 plays to call your shot during the game. He took his shot, and he had it. He had him wide open. He missed the throw. Josh has to make that throw. Simple as that.
We knew coming in there that Josh Allen was going to take some shots on the field, just based on the numbers alone that the Miami Dolphins. But you can't do that in a division game. Numbers in the NFL means nothing. Stats in the NFL means nothing on division games. They play each other twice. But he's got to start making these. We know he's got an arm. We know he's working on his touch. But I don't think he's completed many long passes this year.
No. He's at the bottom of the NFL. He's at the bottom, like the bottom 5 or 6 in NFL of quarterbacks for long balls. He's great in intermediate this year, but long balls he's been struggling with. The surprise, I think he's just putting too much arm on it.
Mm-hmm. I think so too, and that's the biggest thing with these young kids with these big arms. I mean, Brett Favre was the same way. You know, they got to learn to control. They got to learn to control it and get that touch. And once he figures that, I think his focus right now is these mid-range, short, intermediate passes. He's focusing on that. He's losing sight that he still has to put touch on these deep passes.
Right. I think the factor that we aren't really almost considering in this is that Robert Foster hasn't gotten much playing time in the offense. He was inactive today, like he was the previous game against the Titans. But really that long ball connection that he had last season, that chemistry that he had with Robert Foster last year, that's really the only receiver we saw with him with stretching the ball down the field was Robert Foster. And Robert Foster, his playing time has dipped significantly ever since Duke Williams was involved, but he hasn't been active the last 2 games. I'm curious to see that when Robert Foster is healthy, if he's even going to be active, and if he is, if they're going to start working him into the offense to try and stretch the field and see if they can regain that chemistry that they had last year.
We do. We got to get someone to complement John Brown on the other side. Whether it's a big catch radius receiver, a big body receiver, or another speedster. I don't know why they're not putting McKenzie out there either. Take a couple shots with him.
Well, they put him out there, but I don't think they want to use him. This what comes back to Josh Allen's accuracy, and I'm not saying that he's inaccurate. He's been a lot more accurate this year than he has been in the past. But Isaiah McKenzie doesn't have a really big radius.
But you know what? That nice touch pass that he did throw to McKenzie showed off some of his speed because he's a burner. He took right off. That was fast.
Right. I mean, we all know that Isaiah McKenzie's faster than a road runner. But
so why don't we use him more on some gadget plays, some misdirections? Where was our end arounds? Where was all
well, they faked the end around about 4 or 5 times today.
Yeah, they should have did it.
They faked the end around about 4 or 5 times today.
They did it with Dawson Knox once.
Before Josh Allen got the touchdown pass to Beasley, they actually got Isaiah McKenzie the ball on the misdirection, fake reverse pass out the backfield. So, I mean, they were definitely working him in more. But I think today is a telling sign that this offense is missing something.
Yep.
I don't think that we could disagree. Either we're going to run the ball a little bit more, and if you're not comfortable with running Frank Gore or running Devin Singletary, then guess what? You got to go get another back, and Melvin Gordon's out there. And he's getting phased out the offense more and more.
Yep. Well, hey, guess what? There's another running back that was on that field today, too, and that he's getting ready to get phased out, too. It's Kendrick Drake. He's another big body. He didn't get many touches today, and he's already been rumored to be up on the trade block. So, I mean, you got to get another back that you can have 3 down back and put him out there and let him just pound the rock.
I don't think Miami would trade him into the division. We saw when they were shopping Jarvis Landry, they didn't want to. All the Jets, the Bills, and the Patriots called. They didn't want to trade him into the division. That's smart, and I don't think they would trade Kenyon Drake in the division. But I think the prospect of possibly trading for Melvin Gordon is very intriguing because as you see him start to get phased out of the offense, and as you start seeing him get less touches with 2 running backs behind him that are both younger, that are both getting their work in Anthony Lynn's offense, and Justin Jackson and Austin Eckler. They're both very good backs behind him. And as JT mentioned, he's getting phased out. And I think his price is starting to decrease as time goes on and as his production starts to dip more and more.
So there's 3 positions right now that coming with this trade deadline coming up that the Bills could address. More depth at linebacker, a big body, fast, big catch radius wide receiver, or now another running back.
I don't think you address the linebacker depth. You could. I mean, though, when you trade for a backup linebacker, that doesn't normally go too well. I think you can address that through free agency. I think Voshon Joseph was a big loss this year. They really depend on him to be a backup. But today we had Milano out, but we also had Corey Thompson out. That was also out, who was the backup to Milano. So I mean, that's probably why we got abused in the running game a little bit early on. And that just speaks to the versatility that Matt Milano brings, where he can cover, but he can also play the run. So you lost the body inside there today. So it makes sense. I just think it's the offense. If you're gonna trade for anything, you're gonna trade for something in this offense. Whether you want to run the ball more and balance this thing out, maybe go for Melvin Gordon if you really want to. And then you run with your 3-headed monster between Singletary, Gordon, and Gore, because when you start running the ball in the playoffs, that can be very problematic for other teams. Or you can go get a receiver. Obviously, I believe Stephon Diggs, if he wasn't off the trade block before the last 2 games, he probably is now. So you could probably take his name off the list. Mm-hmm. Maybe possibly, like I said, AJ Green is still in the block, but are you willing to pay a first round pick for AJ Green at 31 with 1 more year left on his deal? I don't know if you're willing to do that. I would.
But it was just reported that AJ Green will not be back before the trade deadline.
Well, that's because they're keeping out because they don't get injured.
Yeah, so there's a possibility that's a move that they're going to be looking at.
Oh, they're moving him. You better believe it. They're moving him.
So what's it worth? I mean, you just seen the Rams give up 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick for Jalen Ramsey.
That's different, I think. I think that's a little different because Jalen's young. He's still on his rookie deal, and he still has a 5th-year option in front of him. If they didn't pick it up already, I'm not very confident in speaking on that. I don't know if they picked up a 5th-round option or a 5th-year option on her yet. But I think you would be smart to call the Bengals and try and trade for AJ Green, because this offense is lacking potency. It's lacking that alpha number 1 wide receiver. Say what you will about John Brown and his emergence this season, but if you add an AJ Green to this offense, you open up the entire game for the entire offense, whether it's John Brown or Cole Beasley, Frank Gore, Devin Singletary. The whole offense is going to open up, and inevitably you're going to help your young quarterback back there.
Yeah, no, I think it's no brainer. I've been saying AJ Green for probably going on a year now. Since the trade deadline last season, I've been saying AJ Green. And I think he's the perfect fit, and I think he's also the perfect culture fit because we're really big on culture here. So I think he's the perfect culture fit as well. I think you're getting a veteran guy who's ready to play, who's hungry to win, who's been close in the playoffs, but he's never sniffed the Super Bowl. This is the perfect situation.
Actually, they've never won a playoff game.
They never won a playoff game, but he's been there.
I'm glad you guys bring that up, because people that may say, well, why would he re-sign? Well, if the Bills really make this playoff push and they go to the AFC title game, or they go to the divisional round, or they show some signs of success that they're right on the doorstep of a Super Bowl, then why wouldn't AJ Green re-sign a 1 or 2 year deal to try and get a ring before he retires? Say what you will about his injury past, say what you will about whatever, but if he's on the field, it's just like a LaShawn McCoy. If he's on the field, the defense has to account for that player because of what he can do to your defense.
I mean, it's not like Josh ain't using his weapons that he's got. He threw the ball again to 8 different receivers today. That's between your backs, your tight ends. I mean, he's using what he's got. But like you say, we still need that other person on the other side to take the top off the defense. I think Duke Williams is a guy that we can definitely use in the red zone, but he's not a guy that's going to go down the field 5 or 6 times throughout the game and catch long bombs.
No, and Duke just got hurt today. I don't know if he came back in.
He did come back in.
All right, so I mean, Duke is just, I love Duke, and I love his story. I love what he brings to the table. I love his work ethic and everything about him. But at the end of the day, he's not going to get enough separation to be that primetime receiver that we think he's going to be. It's not that type of NFL. And honestly, with this offense that Daboll is installing, it's a lot of quick stuff. You're not going to see he's not going to see a lot of targets.
Mm-hmm.
He's just not going to see because a lot of crossing routes. It's a lot of timing routes. He's not that type of receiver.
It was kind of weird, though, that we only ran the ball 18 times with our running backs today.
Well,
I really think that we should have been running the ball a little bit more.
Well, they're averaging like 4 yards over 4 yards a carry.
Right.
There's no reason not to run the ball more.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the worst rush defense in the NFL. They're allowing 170 rushing yards per game coming into today. I don't know why they weren't running the ball more.
Yeah, you're going to take the pressure off Josh Allen. You're going to give him more time to think because that defense is going to be on their heels, especially if you're running right at them. Not only that, but you know what a running game does for your offensive linemen? It gets them into a rhythm because now they're attacking. They're not setting back and waiting for the pass rush. They're getting ready. They're the ones that are being physical. They're the one putting pressure on the defensive guys. That's why I like watching the running game because that's where everybody can be aggressive. So why Daboll's not running more, I have no idea. I would like to see this team run more. We're built to run more. We're built to run the ball.
No, I agree. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Like I said, we're not the best pass blocking team. I'll tell you that. Our tackles are not the best pass blocking team.
No.
But definitely running the ball. This is definitely a built line to run the ball. You got nasty people up there in Quentin Spain, John Feliciano, Mitch Morris, Cody Ford. If you're going to continue to play Cody Ford at right tackle, then you better be running the ball.
First play of the game, Cody Ford gets into it with the rookie defensive tackle. He throws a punch. That's that nastiness of Cody Ford saying, hey, ain't nobody going to push me around. That dude threw a punch. He got ejected.
He played to the whistle, and he took it. He took it right on the chin.
I think that has something to do with something from college, probably. That's Oklahoma and Clemson. It's probably.
Yep. Oklahoma, OSU, I thought. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Oklahoma and Clemson.
Yeah,
4 fingers deep. Christy Wilkins started that. But no, it's one of those things. I don't know what we're going to do, but I don't know if we can continue to win like this.
No, but guess what? Good teams find ways to win.
We
remember, we talked about, it takes a month to have an identity for a team. I think this identity for this team is starting to show. It's starting to be like the teams of the 90s where they were never a first half team. They were a second half team. And it seems like that, I don't know what McDermott's doing in that locker room at halftime, but they're coming out. They're two different football teams. I mean, Josh Allen's picking up the defense. They're moving the ball. The defense, they're filling gaps. They're making tackles. That's what I've noticed. The consistency with this team in the second half, where they're totally different teams. So maybe that's their identity. Maybe they start off slow and they know how to finish games. That's the biggest thing. It's 60 minutes of football. Finish game.
I'm not too sure about that because this is an offense that's only scored 7 points in the third quarter throughout the whole season. So I think this is really the defense that picks it up in the second half, and the offense kind of like crutches along into the fourth quarter. And I think the identity of this football team is the defense is going to be the backbone. They're going to keep you in every game this season, and the offense is going to consistently be just good enough. And it's worked 5 out of 6 times so far this year.
But when the defense gets a turnover or something, it motivates Josh Allen. That drive, it was 78 yards he was 6 for 6 at a touchdown to John Brown. He gets motivated. The offense picks it up after the defense makes a big play.
But we've seen times where this defense forces a turnover and the Bills turn it over right back. A good example of this are the 2 turnovers that the Bills had against the Bengals. The Bills had an interception. Tre White gets an interception. Josh Allen throws it right back. Yeah, earlier in the game, Micah Hyde forces a fumble, and TJ Yeldon fumbles it right back. I think the offense is just inconsistent, and the defense is far more consistent, and the defense is the backbone of this football team. And that just reinforces the point that you should do something to force more potency, to force more consistency into the offense with another playmaker on that side of the ball.
But since that week 3 game, I think the Bills' offense has improved drastically.
Oh, it has. But I mean, if we're talking about AFC East Championship possibly or Crown or really legitimately competing for that, then I mean you're gonna have to be more consistent with what you are. You know what I mean? Now, mind you, we're talking about the Patriots, and the Patriots offense has not been honestly that consistent so far this season. They actually haven't been consistent at all. To be honest with you, hardly any team in AFC offense has been consistent besides the Chiefs or Texans, and honestly, their defense stinks. So, there's no balance there. But I do think that adding another weapon to this offense to bring that balance. Now you're looking at possibly being the most dangerous team in the AFC. Now going back to Clayton's point, we knew that the defense was going to be a backbone this team coming into the season. We knew that we made some additional offense. We didn't know how good the offense would be. There's definitely an improvement from last year.
Yeah.
It's,
There's two teams.
No doubt about that between Beasley and Brown and Singletary and Gore. They're in offensive line has just, I mean, I will put our interior offensive line between our two guards and our center up against most of the teams in the NFL at this point in time. Mitch Morse, Feliciano, and Quentin Spain are having monstrous games. They're clearing holes and they're clearing people out. These backs, and even Josh Allen, these QB powers, they're having huge running lanes. How's that for vision?
Yep. All within 1 year, they revamped that whole offensive line. It only took them 1 year to do it. I mean, do they have to tweak it? Sure they do. But guess what? Right now, it's getting the job done. They're only going to get better.
Right.
They have to get better. If they want to advance in the playoffs, getting there is fine, but you want to advance in the playoffs. The last time we won a playoff game, I believe, was 1995 against the Miami Dolphins.
Well, before I begin this point, I want to ask you both a question. Do you think the Bills are a playoff team in 2019?
I do. Based on everything that I'm seeing in the AFC, as far as the other teams and all the issues these other teams are having, if the Bills can stay consistent, if they can be the number one defense, number two defense keeps moving along, Josh Allen improving, not making mistakes, and they can pull. Listen, there's teams that have won the Super Bowl with a great defense and a subpar quarterback. So, I mean, it's not unrealistic that the Bills could make the playoffs and advance in the playoffs just based on what's going on in the AFC right now.
JT?
No, yeah, they should be a playoff team. At this point in time, if you started off the season with 5 out of 6 wins, 5 wins out of 6 games, and you still have Miami again, you still have the Jets again, and I'm not going to sleep on that Jets team because, honestly, that's not necessarily a team that you want to play late in the season if they're healthy. They can really play spoiler because they have a solid starting roster. Their depth is crap, but they have a solid starting roster. You got the Browns team, which you don't know what you have in that Browns team. We've said inconsistency from them. You have a Pittsburgh team without a quarterback right now, essentially,
but still winning.
Denver
you
too.
have Denver,
Washington
who's struggling. So when you look at this schedule, there's no reason you shouldn't be a playoff team.
Okay, so I want to compare this team to two teams of literally the past 2 years, the 2018 Bears and the 2017 Vikings. Both teams were the best scoring defense in the NFL, and both teams finished top 3 in the NFL in terms of yardage per game. But if you look at the run that both these teams went on, the Vikings went 13-3 and won the division. The Bears went 12-4 and won the division. Both teams had subpar middle and quarterback play, Vikings with Case Keenum and Sam Bradford, and the Bears with Mitchell Trubisky. So both of these teams make it to the playoffs. The Vikings make it to the NFC title game and get blown out by the later on Super Bowl champions, the Philadelphia Eagles. The Bears make the playoffs. They get bounced in the divisional round by, again, the Eagles. Now, you look at that Eagles team, you look at what they did at the trade deadline both years. In both years, they improved the weakness of their football team by adding playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. In 2017, it was Jay Ajayi. Then 2018, it was Golden Tate, who inevitably scored the game-winning touchdown against the Bears in the playoffs. And with that all in mind, the Bills' offense is the weakness of this football team. And you should add a playmaker to improve the weakness of this football team if you're going to make that true push. Obviously, making it to the divisional round or making it to the conference title game, that's solid success. That's more success than the Bills have had in damn near 2 decades. But the true pinnacle is a Super Bowl. If you want to make that true push, I think you're giving this team the best chance to do that with another offensive playmaker.
Yeah, I mean, I guess comparing to those other 2 teams, I mean, there's a similar build there, but the only thing about those other 2 teams is that I don't think this offense has established an identity. Going back to Fred's point, there's no identity established, and the identity you're trying to establish is probably not the identity you need to be using at this point in time. Now, mind you, one thing I will say about this 70%, 30% passing towards running identity is that it probably will speed the development process for Josh Allen going forward. So there is a pro to it, but the con is with the way the AFC is shaping up and everything is looking, you actually have a real legitimate shot to make a push right now. Fred?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think they do. They definitely have a push to make this. I mean, you look at some of these teams that are in the AFC East. I mean, you got Denver, who's up and down. Baltimore's probably a team to watch. If anybody's out there that's going to be a big challenge for the Bills, I think it's going to be the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, they're legit. Lamar Jackson looks great. He looked great today against the Seattle Seahawks. But I do think that this team can make that push. And maybe to Clayton's point, they do need to add another offensive weapon. You know, it's not too late to make the trade deadline just around the corner. So, I mean, if they see somebody out there, maybe they're going to pull the trigger. But I definitely would. You know, watching the team like today, I do think that we do need another big receiver, a speedy receiver. I really do. I don't know if it's Robert Foster's that guy. I mean, that he did have a groin injury where he had some issues.
He had all sorts of stuff. He had a shoulder, a groin, a hamstring. He had a lot of injuries.
He had the hamstring was a major one. I guess it was actually tore muscle and everything. So maybe that's what he's still struggling to come back on. But you know what? We can't keep waiting on the guy sitting on the bench. We got to make a move now.
Yeah, well, I mean, even if he's on the bench, you don't know what you're going to get from him.
Right.
He had a good half of a season last year. That's not an inclination to say, hey, he's going to do it again. So, I mean, like I said, you know.
He was a surprise player. No one's ever had no tape on the guy.
Money don't make money, man. That's just where the saying goes. I mean, and Brandon Beane said, he did say this week that, hey, he's always looking. And I'm all fine for him looking. But are you willing to pay the price? Because if you're going to get somebody at the deadline, this ain't Major League Baseball.
Mm-hmm.
This ain't the NBA. It's not hockey. You know, no one's just going to give you something at the deadline to rid themselves of someone. Mm-hmm. That's not the way the NFL works. That's why last year there was only 9 trades at the NFL deadline, which which in reality was a record. You can see 9 trades in a day in these other major sports. All right. So I mean, are you willing to pay the price, Brandon Beane? Are you willing to go that extent? I know how much he loves his draft picks, but the reality is, with this team you have right now, if you're willing to part with a first round pick, you're not parting with a top 10, top 15, probably even top 20 pick at this point in time. You're probably parting with somewhere 25 or 24 below.
Right. Now, you and I spoke of this earlier this week, and what you said to me that stuck out was you don't want to be drafting forever. You don't want to be building forever. And you look at the nucleus that this team has built through the last 3 drafts, it's a pretty solid to okay nucleus. It's something that you can get by with and work with in the National Football League. You look at players like Dawkins. You look at players like Allen, like Tremaine Edmonds, like Saran Neal, like Teron Johnson, Tre White. You look at all these players that you've brought in, this young nucleus of players, Matt Milano included. You have a solid nucleus to the point where, okay, maybe we can be like these teams that know they're going to be in that Final Four at the end of the season, like the Rams, or make a push like the Ravens and part with a valuable draft pick to try and overall improve our football team substantially. That's really what's best for this football team at this moment in time. But it's a matter of will Brandon Beane part with that first round pick?
I'm almost thinking they have to because, you know, this is the 3rd year with these guys, 3rd year for McDermott, 2nd year for Beane. I mean, these guys could be playing for a job as well. And I mean, the last thing we want is to have a coaching and staff change over because they were afraid to pull the trigger and make a trade because they didn't want to get rid of a draft pick. I say you have to. You got 9 draft picks as of right now going into the 2020 season. If you got an opportunity to bring in a big body receiver with a big catch radius, you got to add him to this team. You're going to help the team.
You keep saying big body, big catch. I mean, if you just want a big body or big catch receiver, you got Duke Williams for that. Or do you want?
You got to have someone. You want to have a guy that's going to take the top off the defense.
All right, now we're talking. Now we're talking.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. No,
I'm just throwing it out there. That's the kind of guy you want to have. Someone that's going to high point the ball. Someone's going to be able to go down the field and make these catches.
Right. No, I totally agree. I mean, I totally agree. I think AJ Green in this Bills team is a no-brainer. Mm-hmm. I honestly do. I think this is a no-brainer. I think this is something you should do. If you have to part with a first-round pick to get AJ Green, I understand the age, I understand the injury history, but out of all major sports, the NFL is probably the most unpredictable.
It's the Buffalo Bills are the most unpredictable.
Right? People go down, people get injured, contract disputes. Look at Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. The 1 year Jacksonville traded from Marcel Davis, people said they're crazy. You know why they did it? Because they were going for it. They went for it. But guess what? The next year we said, oh, you know what? That team barely lost New England. They'll be back next year. They'll probably go to Super Bowl. They're not going to the playoffs then, and they're not going to the playoffs now. They had a window and they shut, bam, really quick.
Same with the Rams. How many games have the Rams lost already? They lost what?
People said the Rams are crazy for trading for Jalen Ramsey.
No.
You know why they trade that for Jalen Ramsey? Because your window closes like this. Your quarterback can't read defenses. Your running back have arthritis in his knees. Okay, you've lost about what was that stat? How many players have they lost over the last year? Fred has replaced
23.
23. You better go for it now.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I brought up the Bears and the Vikings of the last 2 years, because with how dominant, other than their down-to-earth performance today, with how dominant the Bills' defense has been to this point, it's very hard to duplicate that on a year-to-year basis. You look at what the Vikings did the following year; they went 8-7-1. You look at what the Bears have done so far this year; they've lost half as many games so far this season as they lost all of last year. It's very hard to duplicate performances on the defensive side of the ball with how much parity there is in the NFL. So that's really where that's really what reinforces the point that the Bills have a window right here. Now, are you going to go for it, or are you going to be complacent, be content with who you have on that side of the ball, and just say, okay, we've got this with who we've got? Or are you going to make a move to try and improve your football team? And if it doesn't work, then oh well. But if it does, worst case scenario, what are you, sitting in the bottom 4 of the NFL in draft pick? What do you have, the 28th overall pick? That's really what we're getting at here, is that the Bills could make a move and could substantially improve this football team and end up with a really good chance at winning a Super Bowl.
What do you think, Fred?
Yeah, I think you have to. You know, I mean, we got to make a move. Here's the thing: this window is not going to be open for long. I mean, how many years are we going to keep saying, hey, you know, we might make the playoffs? We're not making the playoffs. We got to make this move. I mean, we sat back, we watched all these good players, teams take a shot at it, bring them in here. We sat back thinking that we're going to go after them, like Clowney. You know, perfect opportunity. The Bills had an opportunity. They were in play for Clowney. They pass up on him. All right, you think about Clowney on this defense. All right, how would he affect this defense if we had him on there?
It's a different dynamic at that point.
You know what I'm saying? Now you actually have to get someone that's going to be a dynamic player, a playmaker, and add him to this offense. I think it's just going to help Josh Allen's development, and it's going to help push this offense to the next level. You got the defense. Now you got to get that offense to catch up to that defense.
No, I agree. Do you guys want to give out game balls? I mean, I'm pretty sure one of you guys will give your game ball to Tre White. So who's giving it to Tre White?
I'll give it to Tre White.
You
look at the plays. Look at the plays he made today, man. That interception at the goal line, that celebration, that was great. He forced that fumble out. That was a great heads-up play to punch the ball out. Very reminiscent of the play he made his rookie year against the Bucs to save that game. But punches that ball out. He has been a playmaker this season. I think 3 interceptions in a season. He's either a career high or it ties a career high. And he has been shut down. He's shut down that side of the field so far this season. And he's on a Pro Bowl level. He is on a Pro Bowl pace so far this season. If he can keep it up, he's going to have his first Pro Bowl appearance of his career this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't deny him this year. If the only thing they said he didn't have the last couple of years, it wasn't the grades, it wasn't the coverage grades or the numbers. It was pretty much just the plays, the interceptions, and he has 3. I think, which is tied with the NFL lead at this point in time.
Yep.
Tie for second, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, you can't deny him. He gets one more pick, and that's it. It should only take 4 to be guaranteed.
6 games, 3 interceptions. You know, I'll take it.
What do you think, Fred? What do you think about Tre? How's he doing this year?
I actually am impressed with Tre. I mean, I think that what he needed was somebody on the other side. We were missing that other lockdown corner. Now we have a couple of them. Well, Kevin Johnson went out today. We haven't found out what happened with his injury, but you still got Levi Wallace. So that side is pretty much taken care of, and that's all he needed. And you got to remember, a lot of times they're not throwing to his side. You know what I mean? So these picks that he got, he's got to scrounge for these because they know he's locked down. They're not gonna test him. So what he did today was guess what? You think about it. Miami punches that in. I mean, it's pretty much going to be a hard climb out of that hole that Buffalo put themselves into. Tre stepped up, and I'm glad that he was there to pick those balls off, to actually pick that ball off. And then he forced a fumble that Jerry Hughes picked up. So, yeah, I mean, he is having a Pro Bowl caliber season so far, and it's still early in the season.
And my God, on the fumble attempt, Jerry Hughes, please. Please.
Hey, I know. I was thinking the same.
He was a running back at TCU.
Run, baby, run. Go.
No. This, I mean.
Sam Adams did it.
I'm all for the big man touchdown, and Jerry Hughes is somewhere in the middle of a big man. I get it. But when you're out there and you're juking, you're dipping, and you moving
swimming
the ball around, I'm like, no, he's carrying out Sean McCoy. Jerry, get down. I swear I thought he was going to fumble. I legit thought he was gonna fumble. That had me really nervous. But no, Tre White is playing a phenomenal level. Fred, who you giving your game ball to?
My game ball is going to go to Josh Allen. 16 to 26, 202 yards, and no turnovers. 2 touchdowns. He did a great job today. He's very efficient. He didn't make too many mistakes. He didn't turn the ball over was the biggest thing for me. So, yeah, hats off to Josh Allen. Game ball from me.
No, Josh played a well of a game. I can't say that he didn't. He definitely did. He did what he was supposed to do. Hats off to Josh. I mean, he protected the football. And that's what you can ask for. Is you want the guy to protect the football, and he did that today. So definitely hats off to him. He gets your game ball. I'm actually gonna go a different route. I was thinking about possibly giving my game ball to Jordan Poyer, who had another 7 tackles. Thought he played pretty strong today. Jordan Phillips had no strong game. How he's still rated a 67 on Matt, and somebody needs to do something about that at EA because that's ridiculous. I actually want to give my game ball to Ryan Fitzpatrick. No, I'm not. No, it's not funny. I'm not joking. I mean, I want to give my game ball to Ryan Fitzpatrick, and the reason I want to give my game ball to Ryan Fitzpatrick is if you don't like Ryan Fitzpatrick, if you don't like his story, you don't like how he come from, you don't like the way he plays the game of football, then you don't like the game of football, period. You don't like the game of football, period. And he's one of those few people over the years that he has embraced Buffalo. His family has embraced Buffalo, and he's embraced everything about this city. And if he could have played his career here and he was good enough to do so, he would have done that. So today he came in here with 0-7, 0-16. And on the Wise Series podcast, with Stevie and Donald, they both had a chance to play with Ryan. They said Ryan does not care who's on the field with him, what the record is. He's gonna come and bring it and do his best. And today he did that, and he gave Buffalo a well of a time. He really did, with a bunch of players that I probably won't even name tomorrow. And I'm happy that he's friends with Josh Allen, because I hope that Josh Allen can learn a lot from Ryan Fitzpatrick and how he plays this game with the passion he has at his age. God knows he's made enough money. He's a Harvard grad. He doesn't need this, but he does it because he loves it. And I hope that if it's one thing that Josh Allen can take from Ryan Fitzpatrick, that it is that, and just that. So, like I said, I'm giving my game ball to Fitzy, because this is probably his last game in Buffalo ever. There's maybe after
well, you can't say that because Brady's about to retire soon, and they're going to be looking for a quarterback. And that's the only team that he hasn't played for in the AFC. Huh?
He's just old as Brady.
Well, he's going to stick around.
No,
he's going to be 37 next week.
This is it for Fitzy after this year.
Yeah, he's only 37, isn't he?
Only 30. Yeah. In
Brady's
year,
40.
That's pretty old.
That's
Brady's
pretty old.
40.
God.
Watch, New England's going to need a quarterback. It'll be Fitzy.
Yeah. But no, that's it's a little bit different, but I wanted to give my game ball to Fitzy. Like I said, he drove me crazy while I was here. But
that's perfectly reasonable. We've seen him come into Buffalo and tear up this defense.
I knew it.
Whether it's Rex Ryan or Doug Marrone, we've seen him tear up the Bills before. We've also seen him lose. But yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick, he embraced Buffalo. He's everything that the Bills, every bit of a Bills player, as all those guys from those years, whether it was Fred Jackson, whether it was Stevie or Donald, all those guys. That was what that team was. It was a blue-collar football team. And last time the Bills had success at the early portion of the season, Ryan Fitzpatrick was the quarterback. Yep. And he comes back in here, and it's very reminiscent for Bills fans. And it's poetic justice, and it's great to see him come back. And he gave the Bills defense hell today. He made them look human. He did what Tom Brady couldn't even do to this defense.
Plus, he was running the ball, and he scored a rushing touchdown. That's something you don't see from Fitzy.
It's the passion, man. He's the passion.
I thought he was gonna be knocked out after the hit, but I mean, geez.
So
yeah.
What about that?
Beard magic.
I mean, really. What about the Micah Hyde onside kick? There's nothing that this guy does? We're spelling Micah Hyde. Is there nothing this guy does that just looks so smooth?
Nah, dude, I can't believe that play. That was crazy. He had 5 tackles today, plus that 45-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. I mean, I love Micah Hyde. I really do. I just like his passion. I like the rapport that him and Jordan Poyer have back there. I feel comfortable with them two are back there. And I think these young corners are picking up on their energy and their passion, and they're starting to play hard now too. So, I mean, it's great that the Buffalo Bills have the opportunity to bring these guys in here, and it's nice seeing that they're the leaders out on this team. And plays like that, that's from hard work. Hard work right there from Micah Hyde.
Yeah. And a lot of people kind of questioned the signing of Micah Hyde when it first happened, if you remember, because it was like a 5-year, $40 million deal for a guy that we really hadn't seen do much outside of being a nickel cornerback in Green Bay. And now he comes into this Buffalo defense. He comes with the Sean McDermott defense, and he is a staple on the back end of the defense. And he is a football player. You see him catch that onside kick, catch it about 3 feet in the air, and then land it and run in stride into the end zone. I mean, it was a great play. It was a very heads-up football play. I mean, what has it been? 20 years since we've seen something like that happen for the Bills?
Henry Jones, Sunday Night Football.
I wasn't even alive when that dude was here.
I remember Henry.
As a fan, that was one of my most memorable plays as a kid. And Henry Jones was always one of my favorite players growing up. Yep. So I remember, like I said, and I actually, you know what the funny thing about that Henry Jones play is I actually have that clip. So, like I said, Fred, I mean, can we ask any more from Micah Hyde as the leader he is? I mean, we met the guy this summer. So, I mean, we had a good chance to really talk with him and meet him. And
great guy. Yeah, very great guy. No, I mean, it's an honor to have him on the team. And I hope he's the guy that's going to bring this Buffalo Bills team a championship.
No. So I'm playing the Henry Jones clip, and as we get ready to wrap it up, because it's time to go, any final thoughts? And I'm going to come to you first, Clayton Garrett.
I mean, a lot of Bills fans are getting caught up in this margin of victory type thing. People are saying, oh, well, the Bills are winning, but they're only beating these quote-unquote subpar teams by X amount of points. Don't worry so much about that, because if you're worrying about the margin of victory that your team is winning by, that's a great problem to have. Your football team is still winning. Go back to 2003 when Tom Brady, that was his first season as a starter from start to end that they won the Super Bowl. Their margin of victory was 8.8 points. 8.8 points, and they went 14-2 that season. The point of this is, don't worry about the margin of victory so much. Worry about your team showing up on game day and stacking wins at the right time. And right now, the Bills have stacked 5 wins compared to 1 loss, and they're 5-1 and ready to make a playoff push. I'm excited for this football team going forward. I think they're going to make a push in the playoffs. And, man, I'm optimistic going in this Eagles game.
Hey, fly, Eagles, fly. Right now, they're really falling.
27-7.
Team because I'm down by 3, and Alshon Jeffrey's my only hope. Fred Martin, what's going on? What are your final thoughts?
No, like Clayton's saying, you know, people are, you know, worried about what the Bills are going to win by. I mean, yeah, don't worry about that. Let's just embrace it and enjoy it and enjoy the win. I mean, this is a division win that we just got, and I seen a lot of people that were bickering about they weren't happy that we played. It's a win. Enjoy it. Have a couple beers. Sit back. Get ready for the Eagles. And, you know, there's other things in the world to worry about, like cancer. Cancer is a horrible disease. You know, if anybody's got cancer and you know them, reach out to them. Tell them that you love them. Let them know that you're there, that you care for them. Because, I mean, cancer is a horrible thing, and it tears families apart. So.
Yeah, and if you guys don't notice all through the show, and I know through this entire month, because it's November. November is normally the month for breast cancer awareness coming up, right?
Yes.
So we start a little early, but you'll see the pink ribbon on our screen through our shows. And actually, we'll do what we did last year as well. We'll put a post up where you can comment your loved ones who may have been affected by cancer or whatever you want to do. And we'll try to get to most of them announced on the show and stuff like that to show our support. And, you know, because at the end of the day, we're all family. Like I said, I look at all you guys who watch this show as family. Because if it weren't for you guys, we wouldn't have a show. I mean, we could do it in front of 5 people, but I kind of get blame after a while. You know, I would probably have to get a machete and be all over the place or in front of 5 people. But no, you know, end of the day, you know, we take this as a family show, and we like to breathe things on. Like we have Samantha Tiger joining, who is an actual NFL agent. We're gonna have a post every week where you can post your question. It could be contracts, it could be different things about that you want to know about the business itself, and she'll be answering those questions. So we're building the cold front, and we want to bring you with us. So we get a chance to meet a lot of you guys and do a lot of things, and it's been great. But no, I guess my final thoughts. I mean, this team's 5-1. I don't think we can ask for anything more besides maybe that win against the Patriots. But we won't get greedy. We have a Philadelphia team that's coming in next week. That's a very dangerous team.
Mm-hmm.
But they're still a very dangerous team. If we can win that game, I mean, I think the playoff probability right now is around 60-65% for the Bills making the playoffs. Next week it'll shoot up, and so will ticket prices. So if you don't have tickets now for later games, you may want to get them now. Then after that we have Washington. Then we're gonna have Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland. Those are gonna be extremely, extremely important games because we do have to go to Dallas on Thanksgiving, which is gonna be a tough game. Tough game. So no, I just want to say I thank you guys for supporting us and watching. As we grow and we get better and do what we do, we have a lot of videos out there. We have the Henry Jones onside kick video from 20 years ago. That's on our Twitter. It will be on our Instagram page. Pat Freeman on the Mighty Open. Make sure you follow him. He does all our exclusive interviews from the locker room. As you see those little interviews we have, he's actually doing it for the Cold Front Report. So I appreciate him. Follow his page. Follow his YouTube page. Cold Socks. Make sure you get your codes. They just got the Pancho Villa socks back in stock. They were out for a while, and they'll probably be out soon again. So those are great stocking stuffers. It's great for a cause. Part of the proceeds does go to Ronnie and Panchito and Panchita, Ezra's kids. So I mean, there's a lot of great things going around us, and let's just keep your family close, keep your friends close, because you never know what can happen. So. To another week of football. Cheers to everybody out there.
Cheers.
Hopefully we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys next week. Clayton is too young; he doesn't have a cup yet, but we'll get him one. That's why he looked to the side like that. Hopefully next week Fred will be wearing the bucket hat again, and we'll have another win. So, on that, guys, great show. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram, and that's it. We're out of here. Catch you Tuesday on the Why So Serious podcast, home to Stevie Johnson's Why So Serious podcast. On the Cold Front Report. Catch you guys later.